Hi guys, welcome back to Infinite Possibilities, the podcast where we explore the lives of amazing people, their choices, challenges and opportunities. And today I have a very special guest, Asil.
Hi Karen, thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you for being really spontaneous and joining the show.
I mean, you asked me and couldn't think of a good reason to say no, so thought why not?
Wow, I love it. So Asil, what is your kind of 1-minute intro about what you do?
What I do, I'm a cybersecurity engineer at Atlassian. I'm a product security engineer, so try to help Atlassian's products be safer and more secure for people, so to better protect our customers' data and their users' data.
Wow, sounds so fancy. So we really want to know how Asil got to where he is. So right at the beginning, Asil, what kind of kid were you like growing up?
I was very nerdy.
Nice.
I was kind of weird, kind of isolated, spent a whole lot of time in my room playing video games, in the library reading, got into tech at a pretty early age,
Wow.
learned a bit of programming, and yeah.
Yeah, were you like self-taught? Was it something that you like fidgeted around with and
It was
figured out?
something I fidgeted around with. Yeah, it became like one of the only things that I rarely tried to do and learn myself.
Oh, yeah. And what sort of like fascinated you about it? Some people are into cars, you're into tech, like.
Just the way it worked, like really simple rules that you can logic about and you could reason about, and if I do this, then this thing will do that. If I do this, then this thing will do that. And yeah, it was easy to think about and kind of a bit addictive.
Yeah, that's so good. I guess it has that level of predictability.
Yeah.
X always equals Y
Yeah.
when you put
And
some functions in.
also, I really liked video games.
Yeah. So what was your favorite video game growing up, huh?
Played a whole lot of started off early with Ratchet and Clank, then Assassin's Creed, and
Whoa.
then after playing Assassin's Creed and a few other games with Parkour, I decided I'd try and make myself one of those characters.
Wow. At what age was this?
About 14, 15.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, this guy was running up walls. I looked online. People actually did that.
Yeah.
Found a club where I was, and yeah, started doing that. And
Running up walls.
Yeah,
Like actually?
actually
Or in
trying.
the video game?
No, actually trying parkour.
Wow.
And got into martial arts a bit that way as well,
Yeah.
because they fought a lot. They had swords. I learned fencing for a bit.
Wow, so your whole life was inspired by video games. What you saw in the video games, you tried to recreate in real life.
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow, wow. A video gamer creator would be so proud to hear that. Yeah, and can I ask you, did you have siblings growing up?
I have a little sister, yeah.
Oh, really? Cute. Nice. And you also told me something awesome. You were born in the UK.
Yeah, I was born in the UK, though I left there when I was very young. My parents were doctors. They were doing a house officer role there.
Yeah.
So they moved around a lot, and then when I was about 2.5, we moved out of there.
Wow, and then where did you move to?
Eventually settled in New Zealand, in Wellington.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I basically grew up there.
Yeah, wow, Mr. International. Did you enjoy moving around a lot? Was that kind of annoying as a kid? Like you make friends and then you got to move?
It is annoying eventually, like I got used to it. And it was always good, like being able to see other cultures and travel and live in different places.
Yeah, it really expands your horizons. Yeah, that's cool. And then, yeah, when you're sort of thinking about the future when you're young, what was sort of floating through your mind in terms of job opportunities / what did your parents want you to do?
My parents wanted me to first be studious.
Yeah. Good grades.
Of course, good grades, that's very important, and then move into a professional job.
Yeah.
But they were, as long as I didn't become a doctor like them, they were pretty happy with whatever I did.
Wow, so relaxed. That's funny, huh? Like if people, if their parents came from a sort of more lower kind of educational background-ish, they might be like, oh, my children have to be like the highest educational profession. But
No, I mean they made sure that like I was professional, I was educated,
yeah,
like
but not
went to
doctor.
university, but they didn't think there was a whole lot of time for life in being a doctor, and after they had gone through it and put in the hours, they didn't want their children doing that.
Yeah, what kind of doctors were they?
Father's an orthopedic surgeon, mother's a psychiatrist.
Wow, damn. So they were super busy like when you were growing up, huh?
Very, yeah.
Yeah, oh, that kind of sucks. But
No,
yeah,
not really. I mean,
you got to play video games, right? No one to tell you off, huh?
no, it wasn't like that. Like they were very involved, like they were
Yeah.
very present,
Yeah.
but they just had busy jobs, and the route to getting there, like,
It's long.
is very long. Yeah, like from uni up until house officer up until they specialize. It's very, very long weeks.
Yeah. For
Very,
sure. It's hard.
yeah.
Yeah. And so how did they feel about your video gaming at such an early age? Were they like, yeah, Sil, go live life?
They were worried I wasn't living life very much.
Yeah, did they get like, and then when you started to sort of, you said you tried to make video games?
Uh,
Or no, not really.
Not really. I'd never gone to coding video games, but
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, sounds good. And then so when you were like choosing what to study at uni, what were your kind of options in your mind?
I knew I wanted to go into tech. I like programming. I was involved with a high school robotics club, so I figured
Yeah.
I'd do that. I did a degree in computer systems engineering, which let me do a mix of like electrical engineering and electronics, as well as programming.
Yeah.
Wanted to go into make dinky little robots.
Yeah. And did you make robots?
Made a couple, but mostly for uni projects. Looked into career opportunities, and in New Zealand at least, a lot of the robotics companies were centered around like agriculture and fruit picking.
I mean, that's pretty useful.
That is very useful and actually very cool, but when I was younger, I didn't really see it that way. I felt like I didn't want to make a thing that goes pick fruit.
So what was the dream for you when you were a kid? Like, what kind of robot did you want to design to do what?
The dream was space, like aerospace and engineering, probes, landers,
Yeah.
things like. But there was only one company in New Zealand that did that, Rocket Lab.
Yeah. And they were hard to get into?
Yeah.
Damn. Rocket Lab, if you're listening, give this man a job. Yeah, but I mean, you've had an amazing career, still having an amazing career. So yeah, let's go into the first one. So while you were at uni, you did Human Systems Group Intern at Defence Tech Agency. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. The Defence Technology Agency, it's a research group for the New Zealand military, centered at one of the naval bases in Devonport. And they had a partnership with the University of Auckland where they were like applying for internships through that. I thought what they were having was interesting. And yeah, I worked on a project with one of the human factors researchers.
Ooh.
Human factors being how can we actually improve a soldier's performance on the battlefield. And he was developing a new training exercise, a new training and evaluation exercise where soldiers were presented targets that were either green for friendly and red for an enemy, and when someone like pulled a string, the target turned and they had to fire at the enemy and move to the next place. And when they pulled a string, they turned, and it was measuring things like how fast after moving to a new place would a soldier be able to pull up a gun, take aim, and like do the action. How good were they at differentiating between the like green and red targets, and factors that affected their judgment on the battlefield.
Wow, that's probably like a pretty cool, like, kind of first job.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was a cool project, and it was a very, very low-tech way to do it, though. Like, they had a stopwatch, they had a video, they were pulling strings. So I came in and tried to turn it into more of an automated system,
Yeah.
where, like, the dream was to have screens for the targets and different targets being able to be put into a central system and automatically do the test without like someone there just pulling the strings
Yeah, they must love
with
you
a
then.
stopwatch.
Was it successful? Was it kind of easy to, you know, the thing with bringing in tech, like, it depends how receptive people are to it.
I mean, it was good, but I was also like 20 years old then, didn't know much, and made a very good proof of concept, which I demoed on the laptop. And did a presentation about it, but it never really got past the proof of concept stage.
Yeah, yeah. Was it just you and like maybe like one or two other people working on it? So it
Was just me.
just you.
Yeah, it was.
Wow, that's pretty amazing to come in and be like, hey guys, gonna revolutionize your systems.
Yeah, but like they also knew they had a vision of what they would actually get from interns, and
Yeah.
it was a very fun experience.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And so like kind of entrepreneurial on your end to sort of envision how to do it more efficiently. Yeah, and then you were also a teaching assistant at the University of Auckland. How's that?
That was actually good. It was a paper that I'd really enjoyed in my third year of university, where students put a robot together, put light sensors on the robot, and navigated a maze that was cast down from the ceiling with a projector. And on that maze, you had like Pac-Man dots and Pac-Man ghosts.
Oh.
And the robot had to observe the maze, observe its position on the line, eat Pac-Man pellets, and avoid ghosts.
Yeah, wow, this sounds like, whoa, your whole degree sounds really fun. Like,
It was
it?
very fun. I got to build dinky little robots.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then, so you did these two while you were a student at uni. So how did you sort of time manage to, you know, do a bit of work, do a bit of teaching, also get good grades, hopefully, fingers crossed?
Grades were all right, but also, well, with the internship at the Defense Technology Agency, because I did a degree in the University of Auckland, an engineering school, for part of the degree, I needed 800 hours of work experience.
Oh, wow, they're pretty strict.
Yeah, it's just how the industry degrees work.
Yeah.
So every student needed to basically take summer jobs and internships to be able to get their hours.
Wow.
And the Defense Technology Agency was one of them.
Yeah. Wow. So this is like, do they sort of give you like less of a subject load to take on the 800 hours? Or was it just like in your own time, do those 800 hours?
The expectation was you'd do the hours in the breaks between years.
Yeah. Wow.
So I did that between my third and fourth year.
Yeah. Wow. Good on you. And then on to the next job, graduate software engineer at Open Cloud. How's that experience? What kind of work did you do?
Well, one of the favorite things I did in university was a computer networking paper where we'd take a specification of how an internet networking protocol worked, like basically how two computers talk to each other.
Yeah.
You're probably familiar with, like, you've heard of HTTP, right? That's the protocol for for downloading a web page off a server. Like the computer asks another computer on the other internet a very specific way. I want www.google.com, give it to me, and then you've got a handshake, they acknowledge each other, do some encryption, send the thing. I really enjoyed how, like, reasoning about those flows and writing them up. And in my job in Open Cloud, I was doing essentially the same thing, but for telephones.
Oh, that's kind of cool. So how does that work?
They were building a server for telephone call signaling, basically the stuff that happens between you pressing the green button on your phone and the other person's phone ringing.
Yeah.
And finding out like what number is this pointing to, how to actually get there, what quality of signal you have, like whether you can have a high quality of codec on your end and their end, or negotiate the quality, implement building. It's very technical. It's honestly very boring.
Wow, was it boring for you though?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But like, I'm weird. I like these kind of standards.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, this one is like very practical, right? Like phone communication.
Yep.
No, that's cool. As long as you like it.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. And then you moved to the UK, Metaswitch. Tell me more. What happened?
Yeah. So the company I was working for in New Zealand, Open Cloud, was a small New Zealand company with 30 or so engineers, and then they got bought by one of their business partners, Metaswitch, which was a larger company that was still in the telecommunications field, but had a whole number of different products, and they were centered in the UK and London. And I took this opportunity to get some overseas experience. So after one of my earlier performance reviews, I asked my boss, like, hey, can I head out somewhere else?
Aww, cool.
Can I move away to London? And they were really happy to do that. They were happy to have some sort of cultural movement and cross-pollination, and they moved me over there.
Yeah, wow. And how old were you? That's pretty brave. When did you start?
This time I was probably 23, 24.
Yeah, that's awesome. Were you scared? Were you like, oh man, like, I'm so secure here, got my family here?
I was a bit, but it also felt like the time to do it. I felt like I was getting quite good at the old job, and I was worried that if I didn't move, then I would miss my chance to.
Yeah, yeah. So you moved like pretty much as soon as they were acquired, like very fresh.
Yep, about 6 months after they were acquired, after they had crossed all the T's, dotted all the I's, I just moved over.
Yeah, that's cool. And how was it going from New Zealand to UK back to your old roots? So you probably don't remember much because you left when you were so young.
So Wellington has about 300,000 people. It's a very nice city, but very quiet. London has over 10 million.
Nice. Big shock for you.
Huge shock. At one point when I first got to London, I had to get a biometric visa permit. So I decided to go take the London Underground, take the tube to go get it. It was quite central. It was in King's Cross. And I went to King's Cross Station at 4:30 on a Thursday, right when people were getting out of work, and
perfect timing.
Had a bit of a panic attack because I'd never seen so many people in one place that busy before.
Wow, did you get shoved around a lot? How was that experience?
Got shoved around a lot at first. If you ride the tube, you're kind of stuck standing next to someone's armpit. It took me a while to adjust to that.
Yeah, and you stayed in the UK for 3 years or something?
For a couple of years, yeah. I was there on the New Zealand citizens have a visa before they're 31 years old, where they can just go live in the UK, no questions asked, provided that they show that they can support themselves.
Yeah.
And yeah, I stayed there for the length of that visa.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And then tell me, so when when Open Cloud got acquired by Metaswitch, did any of the work that you do change really much?
When I moved over there, I was put into another team. And yeah, over at Metaswitch, I started off very uh, back-end development focused. So like server side, not interacting with anything a person would actually touch.
Yeah.
And then the first thing I was doing Android development on actual mobile phones and working on how to make a button the right shade of blue after you click it and things like that. It was very weird.
Yeah. So you still prefer the back end, it sounds like?
I prefer the back end, yeah.
Yeah,
But
why
like,
is that?
I find the problems just a bit more interesting to me. Like it's more computers talking to each other instead of like displaying things in a way to be
Aesthetics.
friendly to humans. Yeah, I'm very bad at that.
Okay, all good. And then tell me about going to Microsoft. Hallelujah.
Yeah, so this was a couple of years after I moved back to Wellington from London. Because like the company was still owned by Metaswitch in the UK. Halfway into the pandemic, I logged on to and checked my emails and found out that we had been bought by Microsoft. As part of the pitch Microsoft was doing to try and move the telecommunications industry into their like Azure public cloud.
Yeah.
And yeah, everyone I was working with freaked out and we didn't know what was happening.
Yeah, wow, what a shock. Like,
Yeah.
not just once, but twice in your career, like a acquisition of an acquisition.
Yep. This was like 5 years into the career, my third company I worked for,
Yeah.
and still my first job out of uni.
Yeah. Wow, and how did you feel about it being like acquired by Microsoft? Were you like, wow, this is awesome. I've always wanted to work at Microsoft and here's my chance.
I mean, Microsoft was cool, right? It's a big name. Like,
Yeah.
I first moved from an organization of 30 people to one of about 500
Yeah.
to one of about like 150,000.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it was a bit of an adjustment period, like getting used to that scale. But Microsoft did have us doing mostly the similar work that I'd been doing previously, except since Microsoft was trying to push our servers cloud-based, they had to have it compliant with their security. And I realized that when I was doing those changes to do that, boost security, implement proper encryption, and things like that, I really enjoyed that work
Yeah.
a lot more than anything I'd done previously.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. And also tell me about leaving the UK. Why leave?
I left for family reasons,
Yeah.
and also because like it was the end of my visa.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was honestly, the UK is great, London is great, but 2 years is a long time to be on the other side of the world.
Yeah. Aw. And then, so you moved straight back to New Zealand?
Yeah.
Nice. And then, what did you do?
Uh,
You were in Microsoft for like a year and a bit, and then...
for almost 2 years, and got married, started working on security more, and realized that this is actually the kind of work I want to be doing.
Yeah.
Because like I really liked the externalities of it. I really liked the effects that work was doing, because before it was like helping phones talk to each other. That's fine and all, but with security work, I could really understand the effect that would have on people.
Yeah.
Like keeping people safe, keeping people's like data and privacy safe.
Yeah. It's pretty meaningful.
I found it meaningful, yeah. So I wanted to be able to do that full time.
Yeah. That's awesome. And then you left Microsoft, and then where to?
Which is why I left Microsoft, and I started looking around for because I had a software development background. Cybersecurity is its own thing. It's its own degree. It's basically an entirely different craft. And I started looking for organizations that would take a chance and would try and teach me that.
Yeah.
Because like, after you enter the workforce and start making money, it's hard to go back to school.
Yeah.
And
You don't want to be poor.
I didn't really want to do that.
Yeah.
So Atlassian actually did take a chance after my interview period. They saw that they could train me up, so I got a cybersecurity job there and moved over to Australia, which is why I'm here in Brisbane.
And you came to Australia just the beginning of this year?
Yeah.
Wow, amazing. Was it hard to leave New Zealand?
New Zealand's not far.
I know, it's very close. That's good.
Like, it's not that much further than Tasmania.
Yeah, and there's not much culture shock between New Zealand
No.
and Australia. So, yeah, that's good. Nice and close to the family. Yeah, and then tell me sort of kind of what's a day in the life as a product security engineer.
So what I do on the product security side is often people think about like security engineers as hackers, like putting on a hoodie,
so cool.
putting on a laptop and getting on a laptop and putting a Guy Fawkes mask on and trying to hack into something and do something nefarious. But I personally prefer being on what's called the blue team, which is like, those are our adversaries. They could either be like corporate espionage or hacktivists, like politically operated, or agents of three-letter agencies.
Three-letter agencies. You got to explain some stuff. Wait.
Three-letter, like, NSA or like Mossad or the Syrian Electronic Army, like state-backed actors. And they try and subvert people's like company systems for various reasons. Like someone could go after a company like Atlassian for its customers. And my job is to try and find ways to prevent that happening. Like try and protect our company data, protect our customers' data and their end users as well.
Damn, sounds hard.
It is. The issue with like being where I am on and being like on the blue team, as they call it, is if you're an attacker, if you want to try and hack into the system or bring a website down or like find out a whole lot of personal data, you often only need to find one weakness. You need to find one exploit, and then you can take advantage of that and use that to find out other things. Maybe you get into bypass someone's password and then get into a corporate email and be able to talk to their reports and build trust that way. But you only need to find one avenue into a system. Whereas if you're on a blue team, you need to essentially be perfect. You're not able to give a single mistake a single avenue.
Yeah.
Like,
you have to cover everything where they only have to find one weakness.
Yeah.
It's much easier to be an attacker than a defender, actually. Yeah, so blue is the defender kind of?
Blue team is defense, red team is attack.
Wow, that's kind of like a fun naming system. Yeah, and also kind of curious, how hard was it for you to learn all this kind of like cybersecurity kind of thing?
I'm very much still learning.
Yeah.
But once you've had a few like years as a developer or in the industry, it's not incredibly hard to not incredibly hard to pick other things up.
Yeah.
And the field I've wound up in within Atlassian, I'm in sort of an unofficial working group on AI security.
Yeah.
So security of applications interacting with things like ChatGPT.
Oh, that's fun. on and cutting edge.
Yeah, and the nice thing about being in that position is these things are very new.
Yeah.
No one knows about them.
Yeah.
Like, no one knows about the security or the implications at all, but they're everywhere, so I'm trying to figure that out.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, and also a lot of people who watch my podcast are kind of like students or maybe they're fresh out. So do you have any tips for like how to find work that you enjoy and etc.?
First, like, find out what you enjoy, find out what you're good at. Try things. Like, if you've got a hobby, try and find work within that hobby.
Yeah.
And if you, like me, want to do something new that you don't previously have the skills for, try and find someone who can teach you. Like, try and find a mentor, try and find someone who can take a chance. Often, like, if you demonstrate that you're clever, you're a good learner, and also like a nice person,
Yeah.
chances are like someone will take a chance and try and bring you up and upskill you into a new area.
Yeah, that's awesome. Also going to talk about some fun stuff. So tell me about running up walls. So, I mean, I would love to request for like a live demonstration and everything, but at such short notice, maybe not possible. Yeah, so how was the whole parkour experience?
Very enjoyable. Like, basically, when I was a kid up until 15, I didn't do any exercise. I just played video games. And because like nothing really took my curiosity all that much.
Yeah.
Like, I was very bad in team sports. I didn't like hitting a ball around, but then once I saw that this thing that I saw in the games was actually a real thing,
Yeah.
people run up walls and jumped over things and vaulted over railings and did backflips and whatever.
Yeah.
I thought I had to try it. It looked really cool, and I found a group of people in Wellington that all got together and did that. And that was sort of my gateway drug into fitness and other exercise.
Wow, that was the beginning. So that was at 15 when you tried parkour.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how long did you do parkour for?
I did that from 15 up to and through uni until I one, got a real job, and two, realized that every time I injured myself, I was taking slightly longer to heal. And doing these things, I did injure myself quite a bit, like from falls or going up a wall and face planting it and hitting my ankle.
Wow, damn. Do you have any fun stories you want to share?
One of the fun things of when you do something like that is, okay, you can do a vault, you can do a jump, and things go fine, but they don't always go fine. You realize that it rained a couple of nights ago and the surface is still wet, so you just smack into it, or you miss a jump and you just fall a couple of meters onto your side and you have to orient yourself so that you don't hurt yourself too much. And injuries kind of stack up.
Yeah.
And so after that, I moved on to bouldering.
Wow, okay, before that. So what's the coolest thing you did in parkour? So did you fulfill your dream of running up walls? How long does that take? I might have to try at home. No, kidding.
It's actually not that hard.
Oh.
Like, if you get a good run up, if you put your foot above, like, say, waist height on the wall and try and transfer your momentum from forward to up, you can get pretty good height.
Wow.
You need to get over the mental thing of this is a brick wall and you're running straight at it. And once you get over that mental thing, going actually up isn't that hard. Like, if any of your listeners want to try it out, I do highly encourage it. You don't even need to be fit to try. I wasn't fit when I started, but you do small stuff and you slowly build fitness, you build confidence, and like one of the one of the greatest pieces of advice I heard when I was training is to do something scary every day.
Oh.
And eventually things stop being as terrifying.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's pretty cool. Have you ever like run straight into a brick wall because your timing was off?
Yes. Yeah, a couple of times. It hurts. I have a chronic injury in my right ankle because of it.
Wow, and no regrets? Did you wish you chose like a safer sport, man? Like, wow.
No, it was fun. And if I didn't do it, I probably wouldn't be doing any fitness.
Oh, okay. So your parents loved it.
No, they hated it. They were like, what are you doing? But I was adamant, and after a while, they kind of gave up on trying to stop me.
Yeah, wow.
But
like video games ruined Asil's life. No kidding.
But through that, I got into things like martial arts. I got into running. I got into rock climbing.
Wow.
I built a connection with my body, which I didn't have previously.
Yeah, that's awesome. Tell me about bouldering. So what exactly is bouldering?
Bouldering is a form of rock climbing. I like to do it indoors in gyms where there's two main types of rock climbing. There's lead or top rope climbing where you have a harness and you have someone belaying you where they keep your weight. So if you fall off the wall, you stay there and they can gently lower you down and they go really high.
Yeah,
and you
like
go really high.
Still.
Or there's bouldering, which I enjoy doing, which is lower walls. They go up to about 3 or 4 meters. You've got crash pads off the bottom, and if you make a mistake while you're bouldering, you just fall.
I don't like the sound of that.
You just fall and land on the ground, and it's a nice crash pad. And if you know how to land, which I did cut my teeth doing parkour landing on concrete.
Cut your teeth?
It's an expression. I had my training landing on concrete, so landing on a nice soft crash pad felt like landing on a pillow. Like that didn't scare me as much as being 10 meters in the air, falling off a wall and going like, oh my god, I'm so high up, if I fall from here, I die.
Yeah.
So I enjoy bouldering a bit more.
Why didn't you choose the safe option where the person just lowers you gently? Did that not give you that, that excitement, that adrenaline?
I'm afraid of heights. I don't like being high up.
Okay, got it. So how long did the bouldering stage last?
I'm still doing that on and off.
Wow, that's so cool. Yeah, and then tell me about the other things you've done in terms of fitness.
When I was in uni, I got into fencing a bit.
Yeah. That's a safer sport, right?
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Attacking each other with swords is definitely a safer sport.
You have full protection. It's hot.
Yeah, I did that for a year in uni and got to the point where I was good enough that I had to either decide if I wanted to do this properly and start buying my own kit or not.
Yeah.
And I decided the kit was too expensive.
So how much is the kit? It's like 100? But you were a poor uni student back then, right?
Like a proper kit of a sword, helmet, whatever leggings you have, a protective jacket, it will probably set you back $1,000 or so.
Wow. Damn. And you were at uni at that time, so can't afford. Yeah. Damn, the limitations of money.
But also, it wasn't as much my thing.
Really? It wasn't violent enough?
No, it was actually quite aggressive. I was awful at it. At one point, I started practicing épée, form fencing, where you'd need to touch anything on your body, need to touch anything on the opponent's body.
Yeah.
Not just the torso. Yeah. And I started going against an experienced guy, and he kept stabbing me in my face.
Wow.
On the mask, and it was slightly embarrassing. And I just didn't have as much of an aptitude for it.
Wow, damn, at least you're protected, I guess, but it's pretty weird feeling.
Yeah, but I'm very happy I tried it.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's a good attitude. So tell me about martial arts. Is Wing Chun like the first martial arts you've tried, or?
When I was a child, my mother put me into karate, then taekwondo. I did it for a while. I never really stuck to it.
Yeah.
But then in high school, I got into aikido, which is a martial art similar to judo, which is like concentrated on joint locks and throws and non-violently subduing an opponent. And I did that for a few years in high school, and then after getting a job in uni before going into London, and got to a good level of that. But then realized I'd been doing martial arts for 3 years now, and I didn't know how to throw a punch.
Oh, yeah.
Because like it's a very non-violent, very defensive martial art, and moved to London, and of course by this time I had seen the Ip Man movie.
Oh yeah.
And I figured I'd try Wing Chun, and I found a martial arts school not very far from where I lived in North London, the London Wing Chun Academy.
Whoa! I didn't know this part of the story.
Yeah, which was run by Sifu Mark Phillips, who was also a doctor of criminology, also a BJJ black belt, and also teaches Sanda kickboxing.
Wow.
And in his school, it was traditional Wing Chun, but also BJJ and also kickboxing, and he did all of them. It was kind of an all-you-can-eat, like
buffet.
do whatever of these martial arts you want. And his training style was actually, it was based on traditional Wing Chun, but it was quite practically minded.
Wow,
where there was
like practical Wing Chun. Oops.
It actually does, yeah. But there was a lot of focus on pad work, a lot of focus on applications, and also quite a bit of sparring. And he cross-trained it with other martial arts, so you'd go from a Wing Chun drill, step back, and then do a judo throw to someone. And
oh, so they kind of mix it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's quite interesting. And how long did you do it?
I did that like for a couple of years while I was in London.
Yeah.
And then once I moved and once I left the school, I didn't really do any martial arts for a few years while I was back in Wellington until I moved back to Brisbane and found our school, Practical Wing Chun. And the reason I joined that was from what I saw online, and in the trial, the ethos was very similar to what Sifu Mark Phillips was doing. Like our Sifu Jack Long is actually a friend of Mark Phillips, and they do have a very similar philosophy to their training style.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. Has there been any other differences? Like, they're very similar. Is the vibe different? Or did you like, because I know some schools, like, they don't necessarily follow the order that we do, where you just like do Silam Tao and then you do like Chumkyu and then you do Bilji. Like some people, they learn like a lot of the Chumkyu stuff very early on, or XYZ.
Well, the form is quite different.
Oh, wow. I would love a live demonstration after the podcast.
Maybe after the podcast, but like, because our grandmaster, Sifu Wan Kim Lung, essentially changed the martial art quite a bit after his Sifu passed on and developed practical Wing Chun. And essentially changed the form himself to what he thinks was more of a practical application. And my Sifu in London, his lineage was from his Sifu James Sinclair, who learned from Ip Chun and then Ip Man.
Wow.
So they were a very traditional lineage.
Yeah.
He didn't change the form as much, but he changed like the vibe of the class.
Oh.
So there was a different form, there's different movements. When my habits from learning from him were, I was very tense, I was very stiff and put in a lot of power into every movement.
Yeah.
And now everyone at Practical Wing Chun is trying to teach me to relax. And that's the journey I'm on now with Wing Chun.
Yeah, damn. Were you able to bring some stuff over from learning in UK to...
Some of the techniques are similar, so it was both like I learned other techniques faster, but also retreading muscle memory is quite difficult as well. Like, I mean, it's good and it's bad. I wouldn't say it sucks. It's just I'm learning different and new ways of doing things.
Yeah, good attitude.
And there is a place for some of the techniques I learned with Sifu James Sinclair, and there's a place for the techniques I'm learning with our Sifu.
Yeah, yeah. And what is your favorite technique?
I'm just gone to level 2 and I'm quite enjoying Hoi Sao.
Yeah, Hoi Sao, so good.
Like,
Hoi, hop, hop, hoi. That's like the best combo.
Like, you've got to love a big, powerful chop.
Yeah, and straight to the neck. Yeah.
If you want to go there, yeah.
Sweet. Cool. So we're nearly at the end of the podcast. Just a few more quick questions. So that deep one that you've been dreading. So, Asil, what's the meaning of life for you?
I don't know. But just like try and enjoy, try and be there for the people you care about, try and find things you do enjoy and you're good at and do more of that. People say that, the meaning is to like be very productive, nose to the grindstone, get far in life, progress, get rich, and there's a place for that, but don't forget that your joy is also something that you produce.
Yeah.
And if you're enjoying something, even if you're not the best at it, like the fact that you enjoy it is valuable.
Yeah. Wow, that's beautiful. The next question is, so if you won the lottery tomorrow, what would you do differently about your life?
I mean, I want to say that I'd still try and be helpful to people.
Yeah.
But it would be, of course, in a different way. I might do a lot more freelance work, a lot more charitable work.
Yeah.
If I'm not trying to earn a living. And I'd try new things and probably like find a chef to teach me how to properly cook.
Yes, I would love that. I'll join your cooking class.
I mean, I'd basically just try as many new things as I can handle.
Yeah, that's awesome. You are quite adventurous, huh?
I like new experiences.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the final question is, what is an ideal day in the life for you? It can be work related, it can be non-work related, etc.
I mean, an ideal of day in the life right now is getting up early, hitting the gym.
Nice.
If it's a weekday, like sitting down in my office after a good breakfast with like my tea and my work, going out for a walk in lunchtime to a cafe with a good book, coming back doing the afternoon, and then after work preparing a meal with my wife and just like enjoying the evening together.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so we're at the end of the podcast. Thank you so much for being on the pod.
Thank you for having me, Karen.
Yeah, I want to say bye. Bye.